My name is MiaBergeron. I am a Make Work grant recipient. I'm also a Springboard grad. I work full-time as a painter. I do portraits, portrait commissions, a grant, gallery work, and then I teach a little bit on the side.
I mean, I had always wanted to do the project on different people in Chattanooga, but I could never find funding for it, or time or energy, basically, because I was always running around doing commissions. And a Thursday, a friend told me that there were these grants through the Make Work grants through Create Here. And so I was going to Nashville that weekend on a bus, and I thought, well, I'll try to write a grant for the first time. And I wrote it on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it was due Monday. So that was one of those things. I had a really pretty clear idea of what I wanted, but it was through just word of mouth from people telling me about the grant.
It's basically to paint 9 portraits in Chattanooga of different residents. It's based on several things. It's based on demographics, so I'm trying to be fair as far as what is represented in Chattanooga. I'm also looking at just personal stories. I'm going with my gut as far as when somebody tells me a really interesting story, I think that there's a human connection that most people will make that other people will find interesting. So I'm going on that as well. And then also I'm taking a lot of suggestions. There's a lot of people who talk about someone they would really love to see painted that has structured Chattanooga or made a big difference, or someone that nobody knows about but would like to know more. So I'm kind of basing it off of mostly those 3 things. And obviously, you know, I'm a painter. I look at if they have a really interesting face, I'm gonna go for it a little bit more.
And right now I put up the painting of Brother Ron Fender because he's one of my sitters for the Faces of Chattanooga project. And he's a Gregorian monk who works at the community kitchen here in town. And he actually there were 7 other Gregorian monks that came in last Friday to come look at the painting, which is really cool because there's only 45 Gregorian monks in the world. So I didn't know that, but I was really excited about that.
He's an outreach manager, but he also washes the feet of homeless people who come in after they've been traveling, sometimes for days and days without taking off their shoes. So I spent a lot of time with him, maybe more because he donated more time to me. I also did a much bigger painting of him. I wanted to have his feet incorporated into the painting, so that just generally took me a lot longer. And I just became more involved in his life. I mean, all of them I have kept up with and have some connection with.
And these are 2 of the other portraits that I'm doing for my Make Work grant. That's Kirk Wilder, and that's Sandy Bell. Kirk a lot of people know him. He's a young man in town who about 4 years ago was stabbed in the head at a fraternity party in Tuscaloosa. And he's kind of relearning his speech and, you know, all of that. He takes art classes with me sometimes. I haven't finished the painting because I'd like the documentary filmmaker who would like to do something on this project to get some footage, so I haven't finished that. And that's Sandy Bell, who a lot of people know around town.
He is a Vietnam vet. He was in the Marines, I believe, and but everyone kind of knows him as the local flower man who rides around on his standified bicycle. It usually has pom-poms and all sorts of stuff. And he sells flowers or gives flowers to the downtown locals. And then the 4th one that I painted was a woman named An Ho Nan. She is from China. She studied calligraphy her entire life under the last emperor's brother. It's amazing that she's in Chattanooga. I met her daughter and her daughter's husband. They're both artists here. They relocated here, I think, about a year ago. And she's an 82-year-old woman. She does calligraphy. She has tons of stories about China, Mao, everything. And, you know, her work is sought after by museums, and she just happens to live in Chattanooga. this grant has allowed me to question a little bit what I've learned, because I've spent a lot of times, whether it's on commissions or my own work, really invested in what I was taught, which is classical portrait painting. It's very formal. And through this process of being able to paint a lot more than I'm used to. I also have a graphic design background. My parents were graphic designers, and I feel like that's slowly becoming more and more with the progression of this grant. It's becoming more and more present in my work. So like the colors have changed, some of the design has changed. So I'm trying to get something, I'm taking my formal classical training and trying to bring sort of a more modern edge to it. I came to Chattanooga about 3 years ago, this coming summer. I think the best possible Chattanooga, coming from an artist's standpoint, obviously, is to be able to create here, actually create here, and survive off of it. And also be in a community where you can support other people. I think as an artist, I'm always struggling a little bit, but I would love to be able to help other people. Well, I think with any city, especially a small growing city, you need to introduce the residents to themselves. I think you look at cities that have really produced some wonderful communities like New York City. You look at Soho, and Soho was started in sort of dots. You have Chinatown and Little Italy, and everyone is sort of living near each other, and it's not kind of the dot effect where everyone gets pushed out slowly. And I think Chattanooga, especially Create Here, seems to be trying to focus in on that of like, there are parts of Chattanooga that are being changed, and it's important to keep what was there, the history of what makes Chattanooga so wonderful, and keep it as part of a more modern time. And I think this project sort of allows a voice to that. There's a lot here. I also think that the personal stories that come out of these sitters are timeless. You can learn a lot from other people's stories without ever having to go through it. And I think that's important for forward thinking in a community.